for that. It gets a little loud sometimes. So I'm making this video. I talked to Hannah about making it, and I decided to go ahead and do it. Um, but what I'm going to talk about today is nutrition and dieting and weight loss for those with disabilities. Of course, if you have, depending on your disability, you may be limited in what you can do exercise-wise to help lose weight. In the case of someone like with Hannah's disability of limb-girdle muscular dystrophy, there's almost zero she can do in the way of exercise, and even those things that may be okay have a high risk of injury, especially if you've had a disability for a long time and it's affected your bone growth. Bone and joint growth is very critical to safe exercise, and that can be very, very dangerous. Not to mention, if you have a muscle wasting disorder, any damage to the muscles may not be repairable depending on which disability you have and its severity. That being said, if you are disabled and have a need or want to lose weight, your only option really is dieting. You have to use some common sense and really examine your diet and what you eat and what you drink as well. The number one thing, of course, is calories, just straight calories. Calories are in everything that you eat and drink, almost, except maybe water. So you need to scrutinize what you eat. An average person, or an average male, I should say, of 150 to 180 pounds, a maintenance calorie, it all depends individually, but probably right around 2,400 calories for an able-bodied male. If you're disabled and you don't require a lot of calories to get through your day, it can be as low as 1,300 to 1,000 calories as a maintenance level. For some, it may even be lower depending on your body weight. If you're less than 100 pounds, 1,000 calories is probably right where you need to be. But again, consult either a certified nutritionist or a doctor in those cases to find out what your BMR is for your calories and what you need to be at. Once you establish what you need to be at for your body weight, you also need to look at things reasonably too in the amount of weight you want to lose. What's healthy, what's safe. This goes for able-bodied people as well as those with disabilities. You don't want to be unhealthily low in weight. If you are 5'9", I hear this from women in particular a lot who want to be 125 pounds. That is not necessarily healthy. It may be, depending on your bone structure, and again, this is able-bodied and disabled people in general. Be realistic about what your weight, what you want it to be at. Okay, look at what's healthy and what's safe. So now that we've kind of established that, let's just use a 1,500 calorie diet as an example. Let's just say your BMR is 1,500 calories. So you need 1,500 just to maintain, just to get through your day, your normal everyday activities. You wake up, go to the bathroom, get ready, shower, whatever, go to school, go to work, whatever. It's 1,500 calories to get you through the day. And let's say you want to lose just 10 pounds even. That's very doable. Realistically, if you're talking about actual fat loss, which I think is more important than just strict weight loss, body composition matters a lot. But if you're talking about fat loss, realistically, 2 pounds a week is the most you want to go at. Anything more than that, and it's temporary loss of weight, and it's not necessarily safe or healthy, and it will come back very easily. You also have to understand, as weight goes, if you're dieting, depending on how you're dieting, some of that weight that you see on the scale may just be water weight as well. So weigh yourself consistently. If one morning you weigh yourself first thing when you wake up, and then the next day you weigh yourself right before you go to bed, you can easily gain depending on how much food is in your system, how much water is in your system, you can actually gain as much as 10 pounds, as like on the high end of things, depending on what your body weight and composition is and what your diet is as well. So weigh yourself consistently. Generally, first thing in the morning when you're at your lightest, least amount of water in your system, no food in your system. So you get a baseline. Now, let's say, again, you want to lose 10 pounds. You don't want to just stop eating. You're going to lose too much too fast, and it's going to come back just as fast. So what you do is you take your 1,500 calories and you cut it down 50 for the first week. You may not notice a lot of weight loss. You may only lose a pound. That's fine. Just keep it down 50 calories. Then the next week, drop it down another 50 calories. Then the next week, another 50 calories. Do it consistently so your body just slowly gets used to that less food. Because if you go from 1,500 calories to 1,000 and you start off like that, you're most likely not going to succeed. For one, it's miserable when you lose that much or that high percentage of your calorie intake. It's just not realistic. And you have to remember too, fat loss, weight loss, it's a journey. You have a goal. You know what your goal is. If you stay focused on it, who cares if it happens in a week or 10 months or a year or 2 years? So long as you stay focused on your goal and you do it realistically, it's achievable. Keep that in mind. It's not going to happen overnight, especially if you're excessively overweight to the point of being obese. That you're not going to lose the weight fast. That's just a fact. Be realistic with yourself again in that aspect too. So, I recommend just caloric reductions to get to where you are. Then again, consult the doctor or nutritionist and find out what your BMR should be once you get to your weight. Again, do it slowly. It's a journey. It's not going to be an easy one, but there's a realistic way to do it. So calorie cutting is probably the first step. Now, there's other ways to do it as well. If you're not looking for absolute weight loss, if you're looking for more fat loss and body composition restructuring, that's a whole different thing. You can actually burn fat and eat the same amount of calories, believe it or not, that you were before. There's a diet system that I've used. It's called ketosis, or the keto diet. It's little to no carbs, high fats, moderate protein or high protein, but good fats, meat, oils, olive oil, stuff like that. No trans fats. You don't really want trans fats in that. It's not going to help you any. But the idea is to keep your carbs just at a ridiculously low level. And what this is your body uses ketones for energy, essentially. It converts fat into energy. That will also include your body fat. There's some debate on the caloric levels with ketosis out there. I will tell you that a ketosis diet did help me when I went from in my cutting phase that I did this last year, just kind of as a proof. I went from 184 to 167 using ketosis, and my body composition changed dramatically. I was losing about 2 pounds of fat a week, and I did it in just a few weeks, really. Some weeks was a little bit higher, some weeks was a little bit lower, but I have pictures to prove how dramatically my body composition changed just using ketosis. I don't recommend staying on it for a long time. It is a hard diet. One of the benefits of it too, though, when you have a higher protein intake, believe it or not, that curbs your appetite. It's harder to eat the same amount of calories when you're just eating fats and proteins than if you're eating fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Now, once you get down to your normal weight, then you go back to a balanced diet of carbs, fats, and proteins, and you just watch your caloric intake. You keep it at that maintenance level that, whatever your doctor or nutritionist determined you should be at. And probably the most effective ways. Again, neither of them is very fast. Anything that promises to lose 20 pounds in a month, it's not going to work. You're probably not going to lose 20 pounds. And if you do, it's probably not going to be safe. You're going to get sick. Something unhealthy is going to happen with your body, and on top of that, it's not going to be permanent, because in that short amount of time is not enough for your body to really truly adjust to those caloric levels. So when you lose 20 pounds and you're like, oh, you're done with your diet, then you go back to eating normal and you gain all that weight back like that. It's ridiculous how those claims. None of those work. I don't care what anybody says or claims in their bullshit ads or whatever product they endorse for stuff like that, because it's proven. And I'm talking about people like bodybuilders, for instance, whose whole thing is body composition. You watch them throughout the year, they're muscular, but they do have a lot of fat. You know, they're upwards of as much as 18% sometimes, and then there comes competition time. In 90 days, they cut weight at a ridiculous rate, and they go down to single-digit fat levels. And they will tell you, they will sometimes gain it all back in 2 weeks, sometimes 1 week after a competition. You know, these guys who do this body recomping for a living will tell you flat out, if you are serious about fat loss and want to keep it gone, 2 pounds a week is the most. You know, I wouldn't even necessarily recommend that. If you're patient and you have a long-term goal, try it for 1 pound. If even that, you know, just slowly do it. Slowly do it. Don't try to overdo it, because something always goes wrong. Something goes bad. And most of the time, it's just a matter of motivation. You're not going to stick with it as easy, because those kinds of diets where you lose too much too fast, you just don't get used to them. Period. But again, calorie cutting is a fairly safe way, but do it reasonably. Do it a little bit at a time. You're not in a rush. Do it safely. Ketosis, again, not something I recommend for doing for a long period of time, maybe 6 to 8 weeks at the most, then go back to a balanced diet. And if you want to keep doing it, cycle it on and off. That's another way to do it. But both of them, you know, fat loss, body recomposition, weight loss, it's never an easy thing, especially if you have a disability. You know, I can't recommend you go out and run a mile every day to help with cardio. It's just not realistic. If you can, even with a disability, do something just to get your heart rate up. Not even joking here, but just if you're, for instance, if you're in a wheelchair but you have full use of your arms, just doing flutters with your arms, lifting them up above your head, gets your heart rate up. Once you get your heart into that aerobic zone for 10 minutes, you don't need to do anything more. That will help burn excess calories. And if you're eating at your BMR that your doctor or nutritionist recommends, and you do something like that, in addition to keeping at maintenance calories, that's another way you will burn fat. You will lose body weight doing that. If you stay at your fat stores, that you know, once you've burnt off those extra calories, you'll be using up fat stores. It may not be a lot, but it's something, and it's better than nothing. So there's 3 ways right there that you can use that to lose weight. And again, I know it can be hard. It can be very difficult with body image issues, especially if you have a disability. You already probably have much more serious body issues than most people. And I know it can be difficult. And I'm not just saying that like I understand, like I'm saying I understand. I have been there. When I was temporarily disabled, I don't even like necessarily saying that, but I had a very serious injury years ago to the point that I had to relearn to walk. I went from, and I think I've told this in one of my other videos actually, I went from 150 pounds lean and muscular to just about 200 pounds in about 6 weeks. It was, of course, very visibly noticeable, and it wasn't muscle. And it was horrendous for me. I remember the feelings of it. And even once I overcame that disability and became, at least by medical standards, reasonably able-bodied, not by my personal standard of what I considered myself as being able-bodied again, but able to walk and function normally and work and get around somewhat easily, that weight did not come off easily. I eventually did get down to 160 pounds, but it took a long, long, long time. And I didn't always have the best support from people either in my body image issue. You know, it took a while. It took a long time. And then unfortunately, it also went back up. Once I got down to 160, I went back up to 185, I think. And then I went back down to 160 again. It was just this roller coaster. And then I finally, once I got healthy enough to say, hey, I can start going to the gym again, I went back up to 184, but it was mostly bulky muscle, and then I cut back down to 167. Right now I walk around about 172, and I look decent, and I'm content with that. So I do genuinely understand body image issues, even as someone who had a disability. Again, I don't really like saying that compared to someone who doesn't have a choice in that matter. Not that I had a choice to be injured, but you know, I do understand how it can be and how hard it can be, especially when you have a disability. But again, I've given you 3 methods, 3 tools to use. I can expand on them more. I'll put my email down in the description for my training company. You can email me at any time, ask me questions, whatever you want. I will give you that advice free of charge. I'm not here to make any money off of that. That's just what I'm here for. So if you have any questions, you want me to expand on anything, if you need some specific advice to your situation or disability, let me know. Give me details. Consult your doctor too. They may say that some exercise is okay for you. If they say what exercises you can do, I'll even help develop an exercise routine for you. I have no problem with that. I did a video on muscle control. That's a great form of exercise for someone who has a disability. If you're all right to work out with weights, we can figure something out. And on top of that, I'll help consult with your diet and nutrition. It's always doable. Just remember, it's not a race. It's not a race. It's a journey, and you're going to get there if you're dedicated to it and you're serious about it. And I'll be there to help you if you want.